So the next set of instructions tell me to create a new worksheet for the combined data. So I'm going to create a new worksheet right here, and I'm going to call this combined. And it tells me to copy the national data, including the headers, into cell 1 of the combined worksheet. So I'm going to head over to my national data here, and I'm going to select the whole thing. So to do that, I could use Control-Shift arrows, or I could just go ahead and go Control-A to select the entire data set. Control-C to copy. I'm going to head over to my combined worksheet, and I'm going to paste them right into here. Just paste. Okay. Widen these out a little bit so I can see everything. Looks good. Now, it tells me to freeze the top row, all right, because this isn't an Excel table, and if I scroll down, I'll lose the top headers. So it's really important that we keep those there. So to do that, all I need to do is just go up to View and come here to Freeze Panes and tell it freeze the top row. Okay. So now that's locked in there. When I scroll, it'll stay put, and that's going to help me out a bunch as I bring in the Iserc data. Instruction 4 says to copy the Iserc data, including the headers, into the combined worksheet below the national data. Be sure to include an empty row between the data sets, and the reason that we do that will become obvious here in a minute. I'm going to go over to the Iserc worksheet. I'm going to select all of this data, so I can use my control arrows, or even better is, or control shift arrows, or even better is Control A to grab the entire data set. Control C to copy. I'm going to head over to my combined worksheet. Now, I need to get down to the bottom of this data. The easiest way to do that is Control arrow down. Control arrow down. Now I go to the very bottom of this, and I'm going to go ahead and arrow, arrow, arrow to move down a little bit. I want one empty row in between these data sets. So now I'm going to paste this in here. I'm going to go here and paste. Right? So now I have the national data above and the Iserc data below, and we'll just take a look at this and we'll make sure that this is completely harmonized. Right? So I'm going to bring these up, and it sure is. RMA, product, serial number, failure code, start date, ship date, failures, location, region, turnaround time, product line, and product relevant. Right? So these are exactly harmonized. That's a beautiful thing. Right? So I can now combine these. All right. So the only thing that I'm missing is a column that designates what is national and what is Iserc. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. I want to get back up to the very top. So I'm going to go Control Home. That takes me back to cell A1. I'm going to go up here to column A and say Insert a column. And right here, I'm going to add a field name that says Company. Enter. And right below this, I want to say that this is all national data. Control Enter. And I'm going to copy this down. So now there's a designation that this is a national record, and for every one of those. I'm going to Control arrow down. And because we left an empty space, that stops right there for us. I'm going to do the same thing down here for the Iserc. I'm going to add in that this is an Iserc record. Control Enter. Copy this down. Now these are completely harmonized, and we have a designation which of these is national, which is Iserc. We can now combine these together. Right? Instruction 6 says complete the data sets by deleting the empty row and the redundant header row above the Iserc data. So I'm going to select this row, and I'm going to delete them. Right click and delete. Now look at this, we have one big combined data set. All right, how exciting is that? Now we can create a pivot table and analyze this aggregated combined data to really answer the questions that we wanted by comparing the Iserc and the National Repair Company to figure out which one is actually the superior vendor for us to outsource our repairs to. All right, so we're going to move on to making a pivot table. But before I do that, because I've combined and harmonized some data here, a really good check for me to do is to take a look at my data and make sure that there are not errors or NAs or blanks in any of this stuff. Maybe I didn't get this quite right when I put this together. Now, because we're looking at we're looking at 57,000 records. There's absolutely no way I can do this by visual inspection. So what I want to do is to use my filter buttons, right? I'm going to come up here, I'm going to go Data, Filter buttons to bring these in, and then what I'll do is I'll just click through here to see what's here. Iserc National, all right? The RMA codes, it's a long list, right? But what I'm looking for at the very end, I want to make sure there's no blanks or NAs. Those would naturally go to the end of this list. So I'm just going to look down at the end there. Then for product, all right? Product, again, I want to make sure that there's no NAs or blanks, any kind of error messages, all right? So I'll come down through here. Nope, good. Look at each and every one of these to make sure that I don't have any error messages or blanks, because that will really mess me up. All right, this all looks good, looks great. Yep. Okay. Go down through each one of these. Looks great.